How epic is this spot? Can't believe this is a free camp.
And this one is too.
Is driving the big lap of Australia on your travel bucket list? There's no question, driving around Australia is an epic adventure. We spent 3.5 years driving 80,000 kilometres around this big, beautiful country. But let's be honest, it can be expensive. One of the main ways we saved money was by staying in free camps as much as possible. Sometimes the free camps are literally a car park, and other times they can be epic. In this video, we're counting down our top 10 free camps based on location, facilities, and proximity to beautiful scenery. Bonus points if the camp wasn't crowded. We think you'll agree we stayed in some amazing places.
Our criteria in choosing this top 10 is that the camps had to be free, obviously, but also they needed to be official camps. So we haven't included any of the wild camps we stayed at or those sneaky stealth spots. We find most of our campsites on the WikiCamps app. Now, to be honest, this app is not perfect. There have been some issues with it, but the recommendations are good and there's lots of reviews from other travellers, which makes it really helpful. We also go a lot by word of mouth recommendations, and we find out about a lot of these places on social media like Instagram. Okay, let's get to the list.
Our first foray into the Outback took us to the Dinosaur Trail in Outback, Queensland, where many dinosaur fossils have been found. This trail is centred around the town of Winton. We spent a couple of days checking out museums and replica dinosaurs and a couple of pubs, and while we were there we stayed at a free camp just outside of the town of Winton.
So this is where we stayed last night, and we're at a place called the Long Waterhole, and as you can see we're out in the middle of nowhere, but we actually chose to come to the more deserted part of the Long Waterhole. We love these kind of wild free camps because, you know, they're free and because it was really quiet here in the night. There's nothing else going on around and it's just a really beautiful spot. It's a beautiful sunrise this morning over there. So all we can really hear here is cows. I don't know if you can hear that cow in the distance, and a few birds. There are no facilities at this campsite, so you will need to be fully self-contained. The road in is dirt, but you should be fine if you're towing or in a two-wheel drive. It's not very long and it's not too bumpy. It's only if you go off the main track to the more remote campsite like we did. One of the things I really loved about Victoria and the national parks here is that so many of them have free camping and they let you stay there for 28 days. It's just amazing. So if you're a digital nomad, Victoria is a great place to stay because not only can you stay for 28 days, most of them have a toilet and they also have decent internet, so everything you want right there. I stayed at several national park campgrounds in Victoria while Nigel was away working, and this one was my favourite of them, except for one thing. And this week I am staying in a beautiful campsite here. I'm near the town of Daylesford in Victoria at a place called Mount Franklin, and this beautiful campsite, it's nice and it's spread out. This is actually in the middle of an extinct volcanic crater. Today's a Tuesday, so it's not too busy, even though it's the school holidays. On Saturday night, it was quite busy here. The internet here is great. There's a toilet block here, but there's no water. One of my favourite things about this campsite is that you can walk up and around the volcanic crater.
There's also a whole lot of beautiful wildlife around this campsite. Birds, kangaroos, echidnas, and sadly, mice. Badgerys Lookout is one of those places that we learned about on Instagram. It's one of the first free camps that we stayed at right at the very beginning of our journey, and we loved it so much that we came back again on our way home, right at the end of our journey. We've just arrived at our camp spot for the night and it's so spectacular, and what is even cooler is that we're the only people here.
So this place is called Badgerys Lookout, and we're just north of Goulburn on the main highway between Sydney and Canberra, and we are at the top of this incredible gorge. I don't know if the camera does justice to just how incredible this place is.
The camera definitely doesn't, but the drone does.
Would you look at that? What a place for a coffee and to read a book. Now there are 2 drop toilets here at Badgerys Lookout. I did visit them. Yeah, I was hoping that I didn't have to go back again. There are also picnic tables here and some fireplaces. Down the end of the car park here is an access track, so you can actually walk all the way down into the gorge. Definitely somewhere we want to come back to.
And so at the end of our trip, we did come back, but we didn't have great weather the first day.
We had the wettest night last night. Anyway, it's now beautiful and sunny. So we've had such a lovely day here today. The sun has been out, we've cleaned the van.
On both visits, we took a walk down to the lookout for sunset. This was the first one when Nigel was hobbling because he had an injury.
What do you reckon, Nigel?
Oh, just stunning, really. Yeah, we're the only ones here.
Oh look, our favourite corrugations.
We thought there'd be a lot more free camping in the Northern Territory, but most of the time we stayed in national park campsites. One free camp that we absolutely loved was Stingray Head at Dundee Beach, not far out of Darwin. This camp is accessed down a bumpy, narrow dirt track. Once there, it's a beautiful place to camp up for a few days to relax. The views were beautiful, and although we couldn't swim, it was nice and cool next to the beach.
We've just arrived here at Stingray Head. Oh my gosh, this place is amazing. So look at where we're parked up. We're right on the beach. And while there might be a whole bunch of other campers this way, there's absolutely nobody. It looks so cool here, and we're just going to enjoy a couple of days resting and relaxing, and then we'll go back to Darwin in a couple of days. Now sadly this free camp at Stingray Head is no longer available for camping. You can still go there as a day visitor, I believe. The land is actually privately owned, and what was once this amazing hidden gem that very few people knew about became a little bit overrun thanks to the popularity of social media. Now unfortunately, even though the regulation was that you needed to be self-contained, a lot of people were not self-contained and were, well, let's just say they were using the area as a toilet. This really highlights one of the important things about free camping. Many of these places are self-contained, and time again we would see what are commonly known as shit tickets, toilet paper strewn around the place, and even having to see people's business, which is really, really sad. And for this reason, this is not the only free camp that we visited that has been closed down. There are quite a number of them. So, you know, I understand that not everybody can afford to have a toilet in their van. That's fine, but if you are going to stay in these places where you are supposed to be self-contained, then at least do the right thing. Bury your business, burn or bury your toilet paper, or pack it up and take it with you. People, it's really not that hard. Leave no trace. There are not a lot of free camps in Western Australia. Now, we did find quite a few cool places to wild camp around the Pilbara region, particularly around that Calgum Pool, Wheelie Wally. But of course, one of the criteria for this list was that the campsites needed to be official. So we haven't included them. The one that we have included is Betty's Beach.
Betty's Beach is located west of Albany on WA's south coast. Access is down a dirt road, which was in good condition when we were there. The campsite even has a camp host in residence who's responsible for allocating the campsites. The main part of the campsite is located lower down by the toilet block. We, however, were lucky enough to be placed up on the bluff overlooking the ocean. So we've just arrived at this beautiful campsite at Betty's Beach. Campground was full, but the camp host found us a spot, which is awesome. You can probably hear in the background. We're right looking on the ocean. So cool, hey? But how beautiful is this spot? It's just so wild. Love it. We have the best sight and the most incredible ocean view. Look at this. Now, Tasmania is well known as a free camping mecca. We were really excited to come down here and check out some of these free camps, and they are just amazing. So much so that we actually struggled to come up with just 2 for this list. The first is the beautiful lakeside campground at Lake Rosebery. The campground is small with only space for a couple of campers, and it was quite busy when we arrived. Our first night we were back from the lake, but in the morning we moved down closer when someone left. We spent a day relaxing here while Nigel was recovering from a nasty bout of man flu. But being sick wasn't enough to stop him having a swim.
3,
2, 1, go.
Morning guys, how is this for a location? Van hiding behind the bushes there. And then out here, Mount Murchison and the Rosebery Lake. It's just beautiful.
Now, I'll be honest, this campsite is kind of out of the way, but it's quite close to Montezuma Falls, the longest waterfall in Tasmania, so it's a great place to stay if you're planning to do the hike out to the falls. I think this is going to be one of my favourite campsites ever. The Bunda Cliffs is one of those iconic free camps that everyone looks forward to on their big lap of Australia. Situated in South Australia along the Nullarbor Plain, the Bunda Cliffs rise up over 100 metres above the Southern Ocean. There are plenty of options for free camping along the cliffs. You'll see little dirt tracks making their way down to the cliff edge. However, in September 23, several of the camping places were closed as the cliffs became unstable. But as you can see from the Wikicamps app, there's still plenty of places. There's no facilities here, so you will need to be fully self-contained. The scenery here is just spectacular as you stand on the edge of the cliffs looking down onto the ocean, knowing the next land is in Antarctica. Look at where we are. We're on the Bunda Cliffs. We're parked maybe 4 metres from the cliff, and the cliff goes down probably like 100 metres right down into the Great Australian Bight. So we're right on the edge of Australia here.
The coast just drops away dramatically. In a couple of weeks' time, we would see southern right whales out here. This is a real nursery for them. I'm keeping my eyes peeled, but have not seen any so far. And we were super lucky with the weather. We've heard from other people about the wind howling here, but it was still enough for us to be able to fly the drone. Oh, and did we mention the sunsets? Now, it's important to note that we don't always stay at beautiful beach camps and beautiful bush camps. Sometimes we stay in these little rest areas. Here we are on our way to what is supposedly the best free camp in Australia. Notch Point is about halfway up the Queensland coast between Rockhampton and Mackay. From Ilbilby, you'll make your way down a bumpy dirt road, dodging potholes and puddles as you make your way down to the water.
Oi, 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 oi. Oh.
How epic is this spot? After considering the campsite we were at yesterday, we decided to move. And so this is where we stayed last night. And it was just spectacular. So we're right by the water. As you might be able to tell, it's very windy. It's pretty epic here. So there's not that many other campers. Well, actually, I guess there's probably quite a few. We're all really spread out though. So these campsites along here are really nice. This is where we were yesterday. Nice overlooking the actual beach, but there's not so much breeze here. There's quite a few rope swings around for the kids and the big kids. I don't know if I can get both of this.
Oh, that's just...
I don't think I'm doing it properly.
That's just elegant, that is, right there. I don't think you are doing it properly.
Eventually I decided the hammock was more comfortable. We would have stayed at this campsite a lot longer, but we ran out of water. There's no facilities here, no toilets or water. You are allowed to have a fire, and there are these friendly cows who wander through the camp. Just remember to shut the gate when you come out and dump your rubbish at the big skip bin. When you drive along the Oodnadatta track, you'll see ruins of the original Adelaide to Darwin Railway. The section from Maree to Oodnadatta was built from 1884 to 1891. In the 1980s, a new railway line was built further west to avoid washouts on the floodplains along this route. The original Garn Railway fell into disrepair, and now you'll just see ruins, like several bridges and original siding buildings. Kurtamerka siding is one of the old railway sidings along the original railway. We camped out the back of the building on our last night on the Oodnadatta track, and this was one of our favourite campsites. We were able to explore the old siding building, and we drove down to the railway bridge, which isn't really visible from the road. This would have been a great place to camp too, but sadly we arrived too late to explore in the evening. There are no facilities here at the siding, so you'll need to be fully self-contained for this one. This is where we're going to camp tonight.
The Kurtamerka siding. Check this place out. Fantastic place to camp.
It's the old water tower over there. We'll go check that out. I think it's down this little track here. You can go to the old railway bridge, so we're going to go and investigate that tomorrow. It says about leaving a donation, but there's nowhere to leave the donation.
Yeah, right.
Earlier we mentioned just how good the free camps in Tasmania are. So it's no surprise that our number one top free camp in all of Australia was in Tasmania. Drum roll! Our favourite free camp in all of Australia was Swimcart Beach on the Bay of Fires, east coast of Tasmania. We'd heard about this camp on social media and heard how crowded it gets. We actually got super lucky as we arrived around mid-morning and noticed someone packing up their site. We are here at Swimcart Beach, just waiting for these guys to pack up. We've got the primo spot right on the ocean.
Yeah, it doesn't get much better than this for $1 million view.
That was a good spot, Nigel, seeing that they were packing up. Yeah. So we waited about 20 minutes for them to leave and slotted straight into their spot. Talk about $1 million real estate. So happy.
It's not bad, is it? As we look back at our campsite, this will get much better.
This is a great spot to watch the sunrise, walk on the beach, swim, Nigel dive, you name it. There is a toilet here, but just make sure you have plenty of food and water to last your stay, because once you leave, chances are you'll lose your spot. Now, did any of these campsites surprise you? Were there any that you could think of that we didn't add on our list and we should for our next big lap of Australia? Let us know down in the comments. If you want to see more of our favourite places we visited on our big lap of Australia, go check out this video and join us next week when we go through our big lap budget. What does it cost to travel around Australia? We hope you've enjoyed this video. Thank you so much for watching and we'll see you next time.